What's up, everybody? George back again. Muscling Mindset with
Coach Kyle in the building. What's
Coach
good?
Kyle. What's good, bro?
What up, man? How you doing?
Chilling, bro. You?
We here, bro.
We're here. We're doing this podcast. We got Kyle on board. Kyle, what do you do?
So I teach pickup and dating for men. I've been doing it for 7 years at this point. I'm 34 years old. Been running the business. Started out with the YouTube channel.
So you're like a dating guru.
I don't like to use the word guru.
Why?
Nor do I like to call it like a dating coach. I don't know. There's a lot of like weird labels around all that shit. But
So you're specifically for men.
Specifically for men, for sure.
Nice. So
yeah.
you just kind of like tell them what to do, how to get their dream girl.
Long story short, I made a really big transformation in my 20s because I grew up very shy and antisocial. So I learned from a lot of different coaches. I dove deep into self-development, and then I was just passionate about it, man. Like, I made a really big transformation. I saw what it could do for a man's life to come from a place of being stuck in pain and frustration and confusion and negative self-talk, and it's crippling, honestly. I had like crippling social anxiety. So to go from that to becoming a dude who's socially confident and realizing, I mean, how much opportunity you have in the world, how much more fulfilling it could be to have that in your life. I mean, I just wanted to genuinely help other dudes who were in that position that I once was in. So that's why I started doing it.
What made you more socially confident?
Man, that's a whole fucking that's a whole thing. It started out honestly just going up and being able to talk to girls, like
Just
in
taking
public.
that risk.
Taking that risk. I looked online and I noticed that was like a thing.
No hesitation. Just do it.
Well,
And
no,
then
there was massive hesitation. There was massive hesitation. Like I grew up like very antisocial, and so when I was in my 20s, my first girlfriend left me for another dude when I was like 24, and I just did not know
That's like traumatizing.
Traumatizing, dude. Heart shattering, crying every day on some like pussy shit, and I didn't know what the fuck to do, man. So I started looking online. I started watching all these videos, and then I realized like, yo, you can actually work at this shit, and it wasn't just like some gimmicky, like say this pickup line thing. It was like, yo, you can actually go out and work on your social confidence and learn the skill set of communication and male to female dynamics. And so I thought that was so fascinating because I grew up with the mindset of like, you either got it or you don't kind of a thing. So
Nah, it's not true. I've seen some like questionable guys pick up like the hottest chicks. I've seen good looking guys. They can't get girls.
Yeah.
You know, I think it all comes down to like confidence, and you know, just like having the game on point.
For sure.
Because getting girls is like you're playing a game in a way, and obviously comes
it
with
definitely
confidence.
is a game, yeah.
And I feel like women love to see a man that's confident, right? Like when they see a guy that hesitates, he's kind of shy, they kind of get pushed away. What do you think about that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it displays uncertainty in yourself. You know, if you think about it from a marketing perspective, like if you're uncertain about yourself, I mean, it speaks for itself. You know, it's an honest signal that you're unconfident to some extent.
You ever seen a girl that's like a 6 or 7 out of 10, and she's just so confident and she's so bubbly, and something about her you're attracted to her, right?
Yeah,
like, but she's not like a supermodel.
For sure.
And it's something about her aura, her energy that you just like so attracted to.
Yeah, I would say it's more so for women looking at men, where the confidence and the personality has an even bigger impact, I think. But I do think for men to women, to some extent, like the personality can still raise up your like it's not purely physical, but I do think from a man's perspective, it's more of a prerequisite than some women like to men, you know. On both sides, I think there's a minimum threshold, like for sure. But yeah, it's interesting how that works for sure.
So what are some things that like catch your eye with a girl? Like,
I think off rip, no matter what, like the physical appearance needs to be there.
First, it's physical.
100%.
What's your type?
100%. Like anybody that says otherwise, like me personally, I mean, I guess there's people in the world that genuinely think looks don't matter and it's all about the personality, but man, I feel like even if you look at the science, like what we're attracted to, it ties back to certain features that have to do with the woman's health, her youthfulness, her ability to reproduce. That's why we're attracted to hip to waist ratio, having certain curves, having certain aesthetics. So like even good hygiene and all that stuff, it ties back to survival and being able to birth our offspring. And that's why we get attracted to women. So to say that looks isn't a massive prerequisite, I think is like...
I think whoever says looks don't matter is a liar.
Whoever says looks don't matter is ugly as shit.
Because you're not going to start talking to somebody that you think is ugly.
Right,
You know, first thing is attraction, physically attractive. People obviously going to catch your eye, and then personality comes in. Because I met a lot of physically attracted women that had no personality. And it was kind of like talking to a hollow wall, like a brick wall, and that kind of turned me off. So I think...
or it fades out shortly after, too, because you get past that lust and you're like, okay.
Now, what else do you have to offer besides your looks?
Right.
You know, there's a lot of pretty girls out there, handsome guys, and then I just feel like at the end of the day, it's all about connection, how you connect with that person.
Yeah,
you know?
I would say looks definitely is a prerequisite to create that intrigue, to then get us to a point where we can see, like, is there actually a vibe here? And do we actually connect to some extent? And then from there, I mean, there's just different phases in a person's life. I think for a lot of men, especially in Miami, I think it's even more exaggerated. Miami, New York, like the major cities, I think have a rep of it being more of a lustful hookup party experience, depending on like what phase you are in your life.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an interesting question for you because you're significantly younger than me. You're 25?
25, yeah.
25. So question for you then. Do you feel that it's essential that every man goes through some sort of a hookup phase, lust phase, hoe phase, as some people call it? Do you think that that's essential?
I think it is essential for most men. I do have friends that have found one girl and they've stayed with her, but that's so rare.
How old are those guys?
They're like your age, 28, 29, and they're getting married right now, but they've been with one or two girls in their life, and they're cool with it. They're content. Me, personally, I went through that whole phase. I think most men, 95% of men do, because I feel like as men, you just want to like experience everything and get it out of your system. You want to get all types of flavors. You know, you want to try different things. You want to try different kind of girls and gain experience and just kind of like, you know, get it out of your system. So, yeah, and then after a certain point, you get tired as a man. I heard men after 30, they're like, okay, I'm over this now. Now I'm ready to settle down. So,
could be.
For everybody's different, though. What do you think? Did you go through that phase?
So
ever?
I was a super late bloomer.
Okay.
So I'm doing like a reverse game.
Okay.
But, well, actually, before that, I would even say I don't even think 95% of men get to experience it. I would say the majority of men should go through it. That doesn't mean that most men actually get to have that kind of like abundance or lustful experiences, or maybe they get one or two of them, but I don't know if...
What do you think holds most men back from getting those experiences with like getting the woman they want? And
I mean, there's a couple different things. I think part of it is like, I would say for sure a certain amount of dudes get into a relationship with a girl who may not really be their dream girl. And I'm not saying that this was your friends, but I would say a percentage of them most likely got into a relationship with a girl that, you know, if they've only been with one girl and they don't really have a comparison or a reference. And then, you know, you're years into the thing, and then before you know it, you may start telling yourself a certain story just out of you over-compromising yourself to some extent. And so I would say a decent amount of dudes just don't get to experience it strictly out of settling early on. And then that settling leads to over-compromising, leads to some weird narrative that they tell themselves based on peer pressure, their parents, their environment, what their friends would think, fear of the partner that they're with. If they were to even like, hey, if they were to even say, hey, honestly, like, I'm not sure with certainty if I want to be with you for the rest of my life, you know? And I think all of those things makes them afraid of even like taking the chance of knowing what if, you know?
Yeah. So they get comfortable with that person, and now they're scared to like let go and start fresh with somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah. And that goes on and on and on. And then they just don't work on themselves that whole time. So they almost disqualify themselves from even becoming like that attractive version of themselves. Like, how many people do you know that actually get into a relationship and end up becoming more attractive and more successful? I would say typically...
I feel like the people that stay in those long-term relationships just like settle and they live that normal, basic life.
Right.
I feel like breakups build a fire in you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I feel like breakups make people stronger.
100%. I'm going through the breakup right now.
Yeah.
So like...
Every time I broke up with a girl, I became better.
Yeah. What was the longest
relationship.
Yeah.
Like 2.5 years.
Okay. I mean, that's long enough. How did that breakup go?
It was tough, man.
Was it mutual? Did you end it? Did you see it coming? Was it abrupt? Like, what happened with it?
I kind of had to end it because, just a lot of disagreements and a lot of, toxicity in there. So I had for the better of myself, I had to just end it and focus on myself because, listen, I feel like the right woman in your life will make you better, but only if she's the right one. If it's the wrong woman, she'll only bring you down and hold you back from what you really have to accomplish. So I think women are meant to be nurturing. They are supposed to uplift you and motivate you and support you.
Right.
But if it's the wrong one, it's not gonna work.
Right. So what would you say for a dude who's starting to date a girl and he's like unsure about that? Because I say
give it like a year. Give it time. Because people's true colors show after the honeymoon phase. Everybody in the beginning's all lovey-dovey and people are, fascinated by one another and they go on those dates and it's amazing. It's like a cycle, right? You meet somebody, it's the first year's honeymoon phase, then you start fighting, then you break up, then you meet somebody else and honeymoon phase again. And you just see it keeps happening over and over again.
So what do you think's causing that? Is that just a bad mismatch from the jump? Is it... It could be a lot of reasons. Some people might rush into it based off their temporary feelings. People rush into things too fast in relationships. Some people give up on relationships because they think they have options. Because they're like, okay, I'm not gonna deal with this person anymore. I'm just gonna find somebody else. Social media gives us access to so many people so easily, and I feel like people don't take their partners for granted. Like back in the day, where people were like getting married young. If I met you I can meet people off 30 dating apps. I can meet girls on Instagram. I can meet so many girls and go on dates. But back in the day, I would have to, where am I going to meet girls? I have to go out. I have to go out to a restaurant or a library or I have to meet people in the street. And imagine meeting someone out, you build a connection with them, and now a year goes by. It's going to be a little harder to like find someone new. You know what I mean? Like I feel like people just like give up on relationships too easily now, thinking they could find something better. There's definitely more temptation just consistently being thrown in their face through social media and dating apps, which creates this constant reminder or maybe even false perspective that they could get a replacement super quick.
Yes.
Just because they see a lot of the temptation, but it's like, well, is that even the reality? Or is it just like you're being constantly flashed with these images on social media of false realities even too? Like majority of these girls that you see online aren't even actually like how you see them online. So I mean there's a bunch of different
I just feel like social media is the biggest liar, man. People are not who they want, who they really are on social media. Girls don't look how they really look. You see somebody that has all these followers, you see all these beautiful girls, all these amazing, fascinating things on the phone. But then when you see them in person, you realize that they're really just like a regular person, just like you know?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. I feel like it boosts people's egos. It inflates egos more than it should.
Yeah, I think people that are like very attractive or very successful get amplified validation and status from that stuff. So it definitely exaggerates. It like stretches out and exaggerates the more attractive crowd, and then the average are like in an even worse position. So let me ask you this then: if there's a dude and he's meeting a girl and he likes her and it's early on, so you're saying they give it at least a year, but what other advice do we have for this dude in the first couple months? Like, should he be looking out for anything? How long should they wait to have sex?
I think having sex with somebody should happen based off how you feel and just going with the flow. I think when people say you shouldn't have sex on the first date, I don't even believe in that, because girls might even hold off for 2 or 3 dates to prove that they're good girls.
Right.
To make you believe they're good girls. And then you have sex with them and then you say, wow, they're good girls. Every other girl, spread her legs on the first date. So now she makes you believe that she's a good girl, and then who knows? You know, a year down the line, she changes. You know, her true colors show,
100%,
or vice versa.
I mean, people will act in a certain way depending on how they feel you're going to judge them or perceive them, or what it's okay for them to, how it's okay for them to act around you a lot of the time. So the same girl that would maybe give it up on the first, second, third, if she's with a dude who she likes and she really sees potential in, but she also feels like he's a little bit more uptight and she would get judged for doing that earlier on, I feel like that's a situation where
I feel like when a woman,
she would hold off.
I feel like when a woman sees a good catch, a guy that she really thinks,
Of course,
can
time to act like the girlfriend,
can change her life or be the right one for her, she'll change. You know, she could be a hoe in the streets, but for that one guy, she'll pretend she's a flower. She'll pretend she's innocent. She'll pretend she's a housewife. And at the end of the day, you could hide that all you want. After a certain amount of time, it'll, you know, who you are will really show. You feel me?
So, okay, so then if it happens, it happens. There's no guideline. When it feels right.
Yeah. You
when
gotta
it feels
just,
right,
just go with your gut feeling, you know, just
okay.
See what happens. But don't rush. Do not rush into anything.
Mm-hmm. So you mean in terms of like labels or relationship? Or what do you mean by anything?
In terms of anything in life, really, don't rush. But when you meet a girl, take your time. You know, don't give her too much too fast.
Yeah, dudes have a tendency of just going all in,
dudes,
I think.
Yeah, they start love bombing girls and getting too excited. And I know I've been there, you know, but you just got to take your time.
What's one thing you feel like you did
her.
wrong maybe in the last relationship that you had, or the longest relationship? What was one of like the main mistakes that you're like, damn, that was wrong from your part?
I think getting too excited and promising women. Don't promise them anything. You're gonna excite them and make them feel like, you know, there's something that's gonna happen. Because nothing is certain in life. Even marriage is not certain. You can get married, and then you can divorce, and then she takes half your shit. You know what I mean?
Is that what it was? Were you like?
No, but like you know, the first 6 months to a year, you're like, I love you.
Right.
One day I want to marry you. Oh my God! You start going on trips together.
Yeah.
You start.
Well, no, that's what I was asking. Is that what you were saying? Like one day I'm gonna marry you type shit? Because that is kind of.
Yeah, but like you feel it. You feel love, and you say to yourself, "There's no way I'm feeling this," and I've never felt this with anybody else. So you really believe that this is the right person for you, and then later on you realize, oh shit, it might not be. So my advice is just take your time. Control your emotions, test your partner.
It's something you need to go through though.
Yeah,
like if you haven't, you can't just watch this video and be like, oh, cool. George said to like take my time and to not act off of emotions, so I'm not gonna do that. But it's not until you're in that situation where
we're
you're
humans.
like, yeah, like
we're gonna go through it.
Yeah, exactly. So no matter what. I mean, dude, that's why I think you need to have experience dating. Like, you need to get experience dating. For me, it's like to do that on the first girl.
So, I got a question for you.
Go.
Dating.
Yeah.
We live in Miami now.
Right.
What do you think about dating in Miami?
In terms of what?
Have you tried dating girls in Miami?
Honestly, I mean, I'm coming out of a breakup. I've only been in Miami for like 3 months. And I've only been single for about 2 months.
So are you the type of guy to get out of a breakup and just start hooking up with girls, or you just want your own time? How are you after breakups? Like, how do you act?
So my first relationship ended in my 20s. That was a devastating heartbreak. And after that, I didn't really have the confidence or the lifestyle or anything. So I was pretty much in the gutter when that relationship ended.
Yeah.
And so I had to slowly climb my way back out of that. So it wasn't like I didn't have the abundance or the confidence or even the mindset or the skill set to be like, I'm just going to go out and like meet some new women and like fill this void, even if I wanted to. Mm-hmm. Back then I probably wanted to, I just couldn't do it. Now I'm in a place, I mean, it's like 8 years later where I could do that, honestly. And I still go out, I still socialize, I still interact with a lot of girls, but I've made a decision to like voluntarily not go on. I mean, I've hung out with girls, but I voluntarily am not having sex right now.
Because I feel like you're not doing that because sex is a energy exchange. Would you agree with me or no? When you have sex with a girl, or when a girl has sex with a guy, you're exchanging energy. So if you just do that with a bunch of different people in such a short period of time, you're just exchanging energy with a bunch of different people, and then you're kind of like altering how you feel mentally and spiritually.
Honestly, I mean, I feel like I'm kind of indifferent because I've gone through that. I've done that. right? So it ties back to what we were saying earlier. Like, I do think dudes need to go through that phase.
Yeah.
And
So you've been through that phase, and now you know what's right from what's wrong.
It's not even to say that phase is wrong, you know?
No, I'm saying like what girls are right and what girls are wrong. So now you know what you really want and what you're looking for because you've been through that.
I guess
phase.
so, yes, but it's honestly, it's not even that. It's just I just know that a long relationship that was 4 years that definitely had some level of toxicity and egotistical shit, and I had a lot of trauma built up from the death of my dad and even from my first relationship. And I'm not saying she was perfect either, but you know, there was definitely a lot of things in there. So for when that ended, I just made a decision for my own mental sanity and to get clarity on myself, to pull back on all the drugs, alcohol, nicotine, party life, and part of that is sex. So I wouldn't say that like
which is a drug in a way.
Yeah, to some extent, I guess it is, depending on how you look at it. But
it releases dopamine. I mean, it makes you feel good temporarily.
Yeah,
it gives you a little high.
Yeah,
I think sex is like a drug.
Yeah, I think I could do it right now and be okay with it. It's not like I'm not craving it, nor do I feel like I need to completely like refrain from it because it's a problem. I'm just doing it because I know that I think coming out of a long relationship, the best thing you could do is stay sober, have some level of reflection, and double down on your self-development and your business, which is what I'm doing. I'm like going all out on those aspects and still going to therapy and still doing some relationship coaching and really just exploring all of these different things because I think guys don't have enough knowledge around these concepts, right? Like we almost blindly go into relationships and then you start dating a girl and then I'd say most men don't even understand like attachment styles and like why that they act the way they act based on the traumas that happened in their life. I didn't know any of this, and I've been studying pickup and dating for like a fucking decade, and I still didn't know any of this relationship stuff. So since it ended, I just decided, you know, it's a really good time for me to pull back on these things and double down on all of these things. And yeah, like what you were saying earlier, coming out of a breakup, I think is the most fueling, motivating time as a dude. You can either come out of a breakup and go cry and go pity and go drown your fucking sorrows in drugs, alcohol, pussy, whatever the fuck it is to make yourself feel better. But what is that really doing other than maybe putting a Band-Aid or numbing a fucking wound with poison that's still going to be there, you know? Or you could actually go through it, heal it, learn from the whole fucking process, and that's how you're going to really level up from the whole thing.
Yeah, because healing after a breakup, like forcing yourself to heal after a breakup is going to be hard, but it's only going to make that wound strong. It's only going to heal that wound stronger. Yeah. And you're going to be stronger after, and everything's just going to be better. Yeah. I always tell people after a breakup, especially girls, don't go start sleeping with guys.
Girls coming out of the breakup, you're saying?
Yeah. When girls get out of breakups, like don't go sleep around. Don't cry every night. And no, get up, you know, push through the pain, focus on bettering yourself, eat better, go to the gym, you know, work harder, and just focus on yourself. Start loving yourself, because I feel like if you jump into another relationship already broken and you're not healed and you don't love yourself, you're just going to bring that trauma, that toxic from the previous. It's like poison. You're going to bring that poison into the next relationship. So like what you're
carrying it over.
Like what you're doing is you're focusing on yourself. Yeah. You want to focus on yourself, build yourself, and if the right woman comes, she comes.
I mean, honestly, even if I were to meet the right woman right now, I still would delay the whole thing. But
do you have a certain goal and then like, okay, now I'm ready? Is that what you're doing? Or
honestly, no, I don't. I guess it's more of just like a feeling. Yeah. So, but I think a healthy timeline would be somewhere between minimum 3 months to 6 months. So I just feel like that makes sense given it was a 4-year relationship and where I'm at with myself. But again, it depends on the dude, depends on his age, depends on his relationship experience. I was already in a 5-year relationship in my 20s, so I've gone through a heart-shattering breakup where the girl left me for another dude after 5.5 years. I've already been through that process. It was in another 1 year, and then this was a 4-year. So it's not the same as a dude who's maybe in his 20s. It's his first relationship. He doesn't have a lot of experience with women. You're going to handle the breakup completely different. You know what I'm saying? So again, I think there's phases to a man's life, and depending on where you're at, depending on your maturity level, depending on what your goals are. Some dudes are looking to start a family when they're in their early 20s. Yeah. Some dudes are the furthest away from that. Like when I was in my 20s, I was the furthest thing away from that. Even in my 30s, I'm still not like I'm trying to start a family right now. You know, what's your viewpoint on?
Everyone's different. I met girls that have old school mentality, and it's rare. It's like really rare in this generation. There's some girls that I met, and they're like, okay, I really want to get married. I don't want to mess around. Like I'm being serious. I want to be married by 23, and you hear that, and you're like, damn, 23. God bless you. I mean, there's not many girls that think this way in this generation.
Would you say that's a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a good thing, but also a bad thing because you don't know what you're getting yourself into. I know a lot of girls that have got divorced after getting married or having kids at such a young age. Mm-hmm. You see all these Miami mommies, these little Latinas that are 20, 21. There's so many baby mamas. There's so many single moms out here because they rush. They rush having kids. They have kids with the wrong partner. They get married to the wrong person really young. So that's why I always say, take your time. I'd rather it be later it happens, but with the right person, or rather than it being earlier with the wrong person.
Interesting. And so would you say it's a bad thing if a woman got divorced or got married and then got divorced and she's still in her 20s?
It's not a bad thing. It's just, I mean, now you got to deal with all that,
right. As a dude dating her then, yeah.
Yeah, now, like if she has kids especially.
Well, that's like a whole side thing. I wasn't even trying to get into that yet. No. But let's just say she's been married and divorced. Like, is that a bad thing?
It's not a bad thing. I mean, I think it's worse when she has children. Not worse, but it's harder to find somebody that's going to want her when she has children.
Right.
To be real, a lot of women are not going to want to accept this, but think of it like if I'm going to date you and you have children already from another man, it's like me raising your kids.
Of course, yeah.
And now I got to take your kids. I got to take your responsibility. I got to,
Right.
But I feel like the right man that loves her and he's the right man for her wouldn't care.
I feel like some dudes don't really care about that.
Some dudes don't
shit.
care though, Some dudes don't care.
So for you though, it's
for me, it would be a little hard. I wouldn't say I wouldn't do it. If I love her, I wouldn't care. But it wouldn't be.
Could you fall for a girl like that though?
I could.
Because that would imply that you would have to date her and then.
I could fall for a girl with kids, but I would prefer not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Would you date a girl with kids or no?
Yeah, I think it just depends on the way it goes down. I think, like
we say things in life like we wouldn't do this, we would do this, but at the end of the day, if we feel like something's the right thing,
right? Like it depends on the demeanor in which it went down. Like
I can meet a girl tomorrow and she has kids, but I fall in love with her, and I don't give a shit about the kids, and I'll still be with her.
Yeah.
I say this now, but you don't know how you feel when you meet the right person.
There's levels to it, right? There's levels of like the baby father's involvement in the kid's life, her involvement, her communication with him.
But as men, we already have so many things on our plate. We work so hard. Most men, the last thing we want to worry about is like other people's liabilities or like,
of course.
You know what I mean? We don't want to sit there and worry about.
Well, yeah, I mean, just think about, would you rather just have
baby
a girl who's just her or a girl who has a baby with another man and the other man's still in the kid's life and they all communicate?
So there's fights and then now you're involved now and then he's calling you. I'm not dealing with that shit. But
shit getting sloppy.
Would you date a girl? I have a question for you. Would you date a girl with a high body count? Like, for example, you meet a girl and you fall in love with her.
Okay.
Like, for like right away, you're like, wow, like this girl's so perfect.
Like very strong connection.
She has
chemistry.
She has everything. The chemistry's amazing, but she tells you, or you find out, like she's been with a lot of guys you know of.
And I know the guys.
You don't know them as friends, but like,
famous dudes
or whatever, anything. Like you know of someone, and she like mutuals. Word goes around that like she slept with somebody you know of. I'm not saying you're friends with them. Would you still be with this person?
If it was one person that I know of, that to me isn't a big deal. I don't think that's a deal breaker. When we start talking about the body count, I guess it would depend on the magnitude. Just because,
so what's like a deal breaker? Like after how many guys?
That's an interesting question, honestly. I don't know if there's a number. It kind of ties into
the age, I think.
What? The age?
The age of the girl.
Oh, how old she is at what age with the body count?
If she's 35 with like 10, 15 bodies, that's not bad.
Yeah, for sure.
But if you're 23 and you have like 20, 30 guys you've been with, then shit, like that's a lot.
And okay, go on.
Girls always say, oh, well, What about you guys? You know, you guys sleep with a lot of women. No, I feel like it's different. When a woman sleeps with a lot of men, listen, women are supposed to be pure. Women are allowing access for men. Men are just going in. Okay. So it's a little different, like when you call yourself pure, when you have kids from that area, you know, and like as a woman, you shouldn't have 100 bodies at fucking 25 years old. It just shouldn't be the thing.
So is there a certain number where there is a deal breaker?
There's no certain number, but like you know when it's like a large number, like after like 20, 30, at like 25 years old, it's like why were you with 30 guys, you know? Mm-hmm. If it was like 5, 6, 7 old relationships, maybe a couple guys in between, that's acceptable. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
So yes, I could also see a scenario though where if you really like the girl and there's this amazing chemistry and she said there was 1 year of her life that this happened in college and she regrets the whole thing and how do you, that's what I'm saying. It's kind of like a gray area. It's more about, I think, like, again, the demeanor of like how it's kind of portrayed.
It all depends,
just like the kid, you know, it's like, well, a girl with a kid isn't a big deal, but girl with the kid and then the baby daddy's like constantly in the picture and she's like texting him while you guys are hanging out, or like who's going to pick up the kid, and she's pissed off one day because she's getting into a fight with the dude. Like that level of involvement is like different than you just meet an amazing girl and you see her all the time, just her, and then at some point this idea got introduced that, oh, I do have a kid, and you see him once in a blue moon, like a lot less involvement there. And I feel like it's kind of the same thing with the body count. I mean, obviously, at a really high point, like it is, I think, a deal breaker. But there's that gray area where it's like, if the girl is just blatantly a hoe around the whole thing, and you kind of know that, it's more of a turn off. But that's what I'm
saying. If it's like a girl that's a hoe, you see her on yachts every weekend. She's a party animal. Yeah. She flies around to Dubai and Miami and all these places around the world, Mykonos, France, and then you wonder, and you say, this girl doesn't work, right? This girl's getting flown around by other guys, you know? Yeah. These kind of girls are not wifey. I don't care.
Right. And I feel more of like a public.
And I feel like women have it easier than men, you know, and I don't care. You could argue me, but men have to work their entire life to have something nice, you know. You go to France, Monaco, you see a guy in a yacht, right? You know that guy worked his whole life to get that yacht. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. How many beautiful girls do you see in Monaco? How many beautiful girls do you see in Mykonos every summer? What do those girls do besides offer their beauty? Probably nothing. Or maybe they do work. I don't know. But what I'm trying to say is a good-looking man that has nothing else to offer besides his looks is not going to really go far in life with just his looks. A woman, though, can. If a woman just has looks, she can go far in life. She can find a rich man. She can just easily get flown around with sugar daddies. It's just how it is. It's the unfortunate truth.
So the dude would need to build himself up to a certain level to be successful enough to buy the boat. The girl can be standing on the dock looking hot and get on the boat.
Exactly. Men typically do have to work harder. They do have it harder in life than women.
But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, personally.
No, it's not a bad thing. No.
As a dude, the good news is that you do have the control to fix all of these elements of your character. I think majority of dudes sit back saying, why do I have to do these things? Why is it's so unfair that the girl just needs to look hot? It's like, okay, well, if the sooner you could just accept that, like, that is the reality for the majority of it. And I would still argue that the girls to some extent need to put in work. Like, being a hot girl that's also has a solid personality, I don't think it's that easy, honestly.
Yeah.
I really don't.
It's not that easy. You have to play the game good too, you know, as a girl.
I do think the dude still needs to put in more work, but the guys that are complaining that the girls have it so fucking easy, I still think that those girls that put in a lot of work to look really hot actually outwork some of these fucking pussy dudes that are just whining behind a keyboard.
Yeah.
But the good news is, as a dude, you do have access to all the resources, all the knowledge that you could level up these areas of your life, even if it is harder. You just accept that that's what it is, and we got to put in the fucking work. And over time, like, you'll feel better. I wouldn't switch the game, even if I had the option to.
I'm talking about, like, rich guys and hot girls, but, like, going down to, like, normal, average people, you don't have to be rich as a guy to, like, get the girl you want, right? You know, you don't have to be the best-looking guy in the world to get the girl you want. Right. You know, it all comes down to, I feel like, the aura you bring, you know, how you know, carry yourself as a man, you know, if you're funny, if you're if you're just attractive to the girl with how you carry yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So it's not always guys like don't get discouraged. You know, you're the pro hero guys, but you know you don't always have to be the best looking, the richest, you know, to get the girl you want.
Yeah.
There are girls that don't care. They don't want a rich guy. Most girls are materialistic. They want like the richest guy or,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Well, I think any girl, if she had the option, you put two dudes who are exactly the same.
Yeah.
Dude A versus dude B plus dude, but the second guy actually has like $5 million in the bank. I mean, who's not going to take the second guy if they're the same exact dude with $5 million? Like obviously.
Yeah.
But you know, it's just one attribute. It's literally just one attribute, and you can work on that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, there are a lot of women. I think the other element is that girls will see the ambition and the potential and the drive of a dude, and that can also be, to some extent, promising. Not with all women, but some girls, like, depending on where they're at in their life and when they meet you, if you are a dude who's on his shit, maybe you don't have the money yet, but you can display that you're confident, you're ambitious, you're moving towards something, you have passion and drive and a purpose, that can be very attractive to a woman too. So is money everything? Fuck no. Does it help? Yes.
I feel like that's the right woman though, man. You know you found the right woman when you meet her, when you don't have everything and she stays with you.
But what if she's already established?
I feel like if she loves you, she'll stay with you. If she sees that you're a well-driven male and you have ambitions and goals, the right woman will stay by your side, you know. A materialistic and a shallow woman will just go straight to the rich guy, you know. No, this guy, I'm going to go to the guy that has all the money already. That's what I feel like. There are good girls out there that like give guys the benefit of the doubt that are still working their way up.
Right.
You know?
Do you think it's a tighter screen or disqualifier like in places like Miami? Where it's like if you don't already have it, it's like
Miami, that's how it is, you know. You get judged based off what you have mostly. And I'm not talking because I got a lot of hate about this on my recent video. Miami natives were coming at me saying, well, that's not all Miami. Yeah, that's true. Miami is not just Brickell and South Beach downtown. I get it. But if you go to the core of Miami, like the city, that's what I'm talking about, you'll just see a bunch of nice cars. You'll see a bunch of beautiful girls, and everything is based around looks, money, status, or fame. And if you don't have any of that, those people there won't really care about you, you know? They won't really see how they can benefit off of you. Obviously, Miami's bigger than that. There's suburbs, there's families, there's nice people everywhere else that don't care about things like that. But Miami as a whole, you know, that's just how it is.
Yeah, it's definitely more exaggerated.
The sad truth, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just like, I feel like the whole United States of America is like that, you know? The whole world is like this. Miami is just more like extreme.
It's condensed into a tiny area where there's a high volume of those people, so it's an exaggerated.
And it's so small, like, you know, downtown Brickell, Midtown, Edgewater, South Beach, all this area is a very small area of Miami. So
what do you have to say for a dude who's maybe just a normal guy? He's not in Miami, average town, average life, but he doesn't have a girl in his life, and he's like trying to maybe get a hot girl, get a quality girl. What we already know.
I think
take it slow.
It all comes down to the lifestyle a man wants to live. If like you want to live your life like Hugh Hefner, then you have to get rich. Then you have to. But if you're just a regular guy and you just want to get a pretty girl,
regular dude guy, looking for a quality girl.
Regular guy looking for a quality girl. Number one, just be yourself. Don't act like somebody you're not. You know, don't try too hard to impress the girl because girls get turned off. Girls do get turned off when you try to act like something you're not, when you're just be yourself.
What if he feels like himself is not good enough or average?
So start working on yourself, you know, go to the gym, you know, start looking better. I feel like when you start looking better, you start feeling better.
Yeah.
That's one thing about me is like when I let myself go a little and I gain a little fat here, I start looking at myself in the mirror and I'm just like less confident. And then within 2 weeks, if I diet, go to the gym, that goes away and I already feel like I take my shirt off now. You know, it's like a mindset thing. So you got to focus on every aspect of it. Start looking better, feeling better. Start interacting more with girls. Stop hesitating. I feel like it's like a game you practice. It's like a muscle you work out.
100%.
When you start going up to girls, before you ever do it, you're scared to. You're nervous to. Just go up to girls, even if you get rejected. you start realizing how easy it is, how it's not such a big deal. Then you start feeling more comfortable talking to girls. You know, I was always the kid at like 12.
I was going to say, was that something you did naturally or what?
All my life from like a kid, I would just literally go up to girls, and all my friends like in high school, 13, 14, 15 years old, I was like a wild little one, you know?
Yeah.
Like a little playboy. And they would ask me, bro, how do you have the balls to like go up to these girls and like talk to girls and act this way? And I was a little rascal, you know, I was a young kid. And I just did it. And I'm the same way now. Like, I don't care. Like, I'll go up to a girl on the street. We'll even make a video about this. We'll plan a skit or something. I'll go up to any girl on the street. I don't care. If I get rejected, I get rejected. You can't care. That's the thing. Guys care too much about getting rejected. Mm-hmm. They feel like their ego gets crushed, or like they feel like their alpha gets destroyed when they get rejected from women. So you can't really just care about that. You got to just do it.
Yeah. I think dudes don't do it enough. Like, you actually did this shit from 12, 13, 14, never gave a fuck. So you cultivated the skill set growing up.
Exactly.
Most dudes don't do that. Most dudes are like your friends that don't find...
like the average guy, right? He'll go to high school, college, he'll like be scared to talk to a girl, but he puts girls last. Like, girls are not his priority. He focuses on school, work. Then a guy reaches 25 years old, now he wants to start dating, but he's nervous. He never built the skills.
Yep.
You know, he never built the skills that he needs to approach women the way he should. He doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
It's like me trying to
he still has that old identity.
It's like me trying to box, because I box, right? I started 6 years ago though, but I did start a little late. It's like boxing at 25 and you don't know what to do, and you fight someone that's been doing it all their life. Mm-hmm. They have more like, you know, the IQ's there. It's the same thing with like women. I feel like you kind of build that IQ of like, you learn how women work, and you just like, you gain that experience over time.
Yeah.
You know?
Of course, yeah. So you naturally did it since a young age. Most dudes don't get to do that. So by the time they're 20, 25, even 30, maybe they've even worked on themselves. Maybe they even are good looking, but if they never put time and attention into getting the experience of actually interacting with women, the skill set and the confidence level for that situation is still fucking zero.
Exactly. It's like you're building a skill. You learn how to approach a woman, how not to approach a woman.
It might be even worse as you get older, because now there's almost like this implied expectation that you should be good at it by this point, especially if you're a good-looking dude too. Yeah. But it's like, no, you still aren't good with it. So now it's this really big deal that they've been pushing off for like 10, 15 years, almost like this like 40-year-old virgin type effect. And yeah, they're more nervous than ever, and they'll literally just avoid the situation altogether out of fear. And so, I mean, you're very fortunate that you managed to do that ever since a young age. I was the opposite. I was the video game dude in my teenage years, because my dad passed, and then I didn't have confidence in high school. So for me, throughout my teenage years, even in my 20s, I was not good at it. I think that's why I became passionate about it, because I realized, whoa, you can actually go out and do this shit.
Once you see your potential, what you're capable of, your confidence goes through the roof.
Yeah.
Exactly how you are. Like, you're such a confident. I could tell. I could feel the energy. You're confident, you know?
Right.
And you just told me you were never like that. So
yeah, not at all. Not at all.
See
like zero.
You worked on it, and now you're so good at it. You know, you're just naturally confident.
Well, it's not natural, but it's through the experience and repetition, just like anything. Like, I'm sure if you were in the boxing ring, I'd be like, oh, this dude moves like a natural. But it's like, you know, before you ever got into the ring, you're probably fucking awkward with it.
I didn't know what to do.
Yeah, so for a dude who's just starting out, you gotta, I think what you were saying is like, for sure you gotta get into the gym. For sure you gotta work on your look to some extent, because if you don't feel sexy or attractive.
I think everything is in your mind in life. Everything is in your mind. So when you work around things that help your mind, like exercise, eating right, interacting, socializing, bettering yourself, all those things work on your mind, which help you.
Those externals become the evidence for your brain. Because if your brain has zero evidence, it's going to act as such.
If you eat fucking chips and burgers and sit on your couch all day and never work out and gain weight, and now your self-esteem goes down, you're anxious, you're depressed, you look like shit.
Right.
You
it's
know?
like, what could you be? Why are you confident?
Now, how are you going to be confident to go up to the girl you want? You know, you're not.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
For sure, dude. Yeah, so it starts with the gym, starts with the look, and then getting out there, right, in one way or another. So even, I tell guys, dude, if you're not ready to go up and flirt with the girl, get her phone number, even set up a date, like you should just start saying something to people in passing, bare minimum. Like you need to just get in the habit of saying things to people, because if I can't even say good morning, if I'm not saying anything, hey, how's it going? Hey, good morning. Hey, I like your jacket. How the fuck am I gonna just miraculously go up to my dream girl when she's in front of me when, again, I'm just on the couch eating potato chips and I can't even say hi to somebody? So for a lot of dudes, I think that going up to the 10 is very intimidating, almost outside the scope of their reality even. So I would recommend, if you're starting somewhere, it's like just start going to the gym. Just start eating a little bit healthier. Just start talking to people every day. And when you do those things, we're starting to take the first couple steps that could build up the momentum that could get you to a point where you could eventually go up to the girl. It's like it's boxing, dude. Like you started with a jab, I'm sure. Then they teach
That's
you.
what I'm saying.
You know, you don't go into the ring against the fucking the pro fighter.
Exactly.
That's like the hot girl. It's like, hold up, we got to learn some structure and get comfortable with that. You know,
you can't go from A to Z. You gotta, slowly work your way up with anything in life.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, I guess that's like probably the starting point for a dude. So if you're watching this, I mean, there's definitely hope. I've made a big transformation. I mean, you did it too. It's just you were just doing it from the jump, which is even more impressive, honestly.
I remember going up to, I was just, walking down Brickell, and I was with my camera guy. I have a young kid. He's, 20, and he records me. He films me when I need him. I was just, seeing girls with curly hair, and I would just go up to her, I love your curly hair. And he's like, yo, bro, you have balls. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm just complimenting her curly hair. And she would smile back at me, and he's like, yo, how are you doing this? I'm like, what do you mean, how am I doing this? It's so easy. You just got to do it. Just be smooth, natural. Just go up to her, compliment a girl, Don't be like, hi.
Well, that's where dudes get lost. They're smooth, natural. They're not naturally smooth. So
they gotta
that's
work
how they
that's
talk.
That's something they work on, though, But that's.
But that was an interesting point too, because that's how dudes will talk. They'll say hi, right? Or
be like,
hey,
how are
what's
you?
up?
Or they'll be stiff, frozen.
Yeah.
It's like fighting, right? Like boxing,
Yeah, he's stiff. Yeah.
First, when you're good, you're gonna move smooth, but if you know what you're doing, you're gonna freeze and you're gonna be scared. It's the same thing. It's practice. It's practice. You know how it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So
I think that's it for today's episode.
we're gonna
wrap it up here.
Okay.
It was a pleasure having you.
It was dope, bro.
I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. A long conversation about girls, relationships, and whatnot. If you guys liked it, make sure you comment, like, and subscribe, and let us know in the comments what else you would like to see from us. George, I'm out.
Coach Kyle signing out. Check me out on YouTube, Coach Kyle. Till next time, fellas.
Later.
Hey.
I cut it because it was 7:05.